let's talk first of all about satiety and what that really is. Okay, satiety is just a fancy medical word for feeling full, the feeling of being fully satisfied. And if you're listening to this presentation, more than likely you are either trying to lose weight or you're trying to maintain a healthy weight. And to accomplish either one of those goals, I think it's pretty safe to say that most of us do a better job if we're not hungry while we're doing that. So I personally have had a challenge the last couple of years. I've had a little bit of gradual post-menopausal weight gain. If that's TMI for you guys, I'm sorry. But women do have that. It's kind of a condition that happens. So my metabolism has dropped a little, even though I'm very active. I mean, I help lead body and soul classes a couple times a week. On other days, I either go to the gym or walk the treadmill or elliptical, something. But it's been necessary for me to cut back on my overall calories to stay at a healthy weight. And so I figure that maybe some of you guys have that same issue. So hopefully some of the things that I share today will be helpful to you in your weight loss journey or a journey to a healthier you. Hormones that stimulate hunger. Probably the most predominant is called ghrelin, and it is created in the stomach. And it's released when the stomach gets empty. So when your stomach is completely empty, it's like that starts being made, that ghrelin's made, and then it tells your brain, okay, you're hungry. You have no food in your system right now. And so that's what happens to make us become hungry. So that tells our brain that. And unfortunately, when we lose weight, the levels of ghrelin continue to rise. And it's like our body, you may have heard of set point theory, where your body kind of tries to get back to where it was. And so for a while, those hormones will kick in and it'll seem like you're more hungry than usual because your body's trying to pull you back to where you were before, just because it's kind of a safety mechanism that God builds into us to help us during famines and things like that. So it's there, it has a purpose, but it's kind of aggravating sometimes when we're trying to lose weight to even feel more hungry. So that's one of the reasons that we're talking about this today, because it is real, it does happen. And you're thinking, why am I so hungry? So hopefully this will help you understand some of that. Another one that stimulates hunger is insulin-like peptide 5, and that's also listed on the slide. And it's created in the colon. So once again, the colon is like the last place that food is in your system before it's completely done. So it's like, okay, there is nothing here. So it's telling your brain, you need to put some food in your system. Okay, on the flip side, besides the hormones that stimulate hunger, there are some that inhibit hunger or make you feel full, okay? So there's 4 of those listed on the slide there. The first one is cholecystokinin, or CCK. You can see why they probably abbreviated that. And it's created in the upper small intestine. Peptide YY, which is in the lower small intestine. Glucagon-like peptide, GLP-1, which is in the lower small intestine. And then insulin and several other hormones that are coming from the pancreas. Most of you have probably heard of insulin because of diabetes. But insulin is there. And there are many, many more that are inhibitors of appetite. I think this is so interesting, and God knows us really well. There are, percentage-wise, so many more that inhibit appetite than actually increase appetite. So that should tell us something, right? So we're going to talk about today. Fortunately, though, there are things that we can do with our diet and our behaviors that may help us manage this hormonally induced hunger that we have. There's another nutrient that is of interest when it comes to regulating hunger, and that is fiber. It stimulates production of GLP-1, and that was one of those hunger inhibiting hormones. So it can make your appetite go down if you eat more fiber. But all fiber is not created equal in regards to hunger, believe it or not. Research shows that soluble fiber is really the one that is of interest in controlling hunger. Both types are healthy, and we're going to talk a little bit more about insoluble fiber in a bit. But soluble fiber seems to be the most effective in controlling hunger because it packs, that's the way the term they use, packs the stomach. And the best way I can help you see this is like if you make some oatmeal or some dried beans and you let them get cold, they kind of congeal and absorb up the water, kind of forms in the bowl or the pan or whatever after a little bit. That's what happens in your stomach with soluble fiber. It pulls in all that fluid, makes you feel so full. And it also helps it slow down going through the digestive system. And so that also makes you feel full longer. And then besides that, it can also blunt spikes in blood sugar. So whether you're diabetic or not, if your blood sugar gets low, you immediately start getting hungry. I mean, your body stimulates all those hormones. So any fiber that can help, or anything that can help blunt that jump blunt that jump in blood sugar to keep it from crashing, that's going to be so helpful. So be sure that you get some good soluble fiber. The top sources of soluble fiber, I've listed a few there for you, but at the very top are beans. But then oats, barley, citrus fruits, and apples are also some of the really high ones in that. A recent review, this was so interesting to me because I grew up eating beans my whole life. In fact, when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so we didn't have a lot of protein, and so mom would stretch everything. We had meat extended everything, okay? Things like casseroles and soups and stews, a lot. But one of the things that we would do, especially in the summer, would be eat meals that were completely vegetables and have cornbread with it. And one of the vegetables we would always have would be some kind of beans. And I remember that being so satisfying. And now, just looking back on that, it also has created in my family, we all like beans. We have them all the time. But it does help you feel full. And this research showed that if you eat regularly, beans, peas, chickpeas, lentils, those can increase your feelings of fullness by 31% compared with equivalent calorie meals that are not based on beans. So I thought, that's like if you're having a 500-calorie dinner, then if part of that is beans, you're going to stay full about a third more than you would otherwise. So isn't that cool? Just to know that something so healthy, so full of fiber, can also help you not feel hungry. So that's awesome. And then, but we're not going to leave out insoluble fiber. It's the other type of fiber, and it's in fruits and vegetables and whole grains as well. And it doesn't have the packing effect and the absorption effect like the soluble fiber, but it does take longer to digest. Anything that has insoluble fiber takes longer. So it also a lot of times takes longer to chew. And you may notice that you might be eating a dinner or lunch filled with like a big salad that has a lot of things in it, and you're taking time to chew that, and your buddy over here who's eating a burger is done in like 2 minutes, and it takes you a while longer to get through that salad. And anything that takes you longer time to chew also takes a longer time to digest. And so it also slows that movement through your system. So you want to choose minimally processed whole grains as part of those insoluble fibers, something like steel cut or old-fashioned oats that take a longer time to chew, a longer time to digest. And also breads, if you're buying whole grain breads, which I hope you are, finding ones that have the larger pieces of grain, the more coarse texture versus the really fine texture. And of course, anytime that you can substitute a whole grain for a refined grain, like white bread or white rice, anytime if you substitute the whole grain versions of those, brown rice and whole grain breads, it's going to give you more nutrition, but also much more fiber that we're just talking about here. White and refined products tend to just speed through your system. They do not help you feel full at all. They are gone quickly because they're easily digested. So besides doing it for nutritional reasons, the staying full reason is a good reason to go with whole grain. Okay, besides protein and fiber, we're going to talk some about a term you may or may not have heard before, energy density. Research suggests that people feel full according to the amount of food that they eat, the volume of food that they eat, not the numbers of calories that they take in. And then going back to our example a minute ago of you eating a large salad for lunch that has all these different great ingredients, and then someone who's eating maybe a sandwich, not saying sandwich is bad, but you feel full, it takes you longer to eat, and it takes up more space in your stomach. You can see in this slide that my friend Helen has so graciously endowed me with here, that there are pictures of different foods in your stomach, and each of these pictures are a depiction of like how much space it takes up for about the same calories. So you'll see that last picture there with all the fruits and vegetables that are the non-starchy fruits and vegetables, how much space it takes up, and it would have the same calories as that tiny little bit of oil there on the left-hand side. So it's really important that we think about things in terms of volume.